Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mini Scroll, the daily internet culture podcast, bringing you the biggest stories from social media, the creator economy, and the digital space every Monday through Thursday. I'm your host, Lauren Meisner, the founder of the youth digital media brand, Centennial World. Welcome back to Mini Scroll, everyone. And today is actually Centennial World's 5th birthday, you guys. I've officially been running this company for half a decade, 5 years. So for anyone that is new and you want to hear like the lore of this podcast, go back and listen to the Q&A that I did a couple of months ago now, because I explain like the structure. But basically this podcast lives underneath a greater media brand that I own called Centennial World. And for the first like 3 to 4 years, I would say we really prioritized our publication, like our written work. That was kind of our bread and butter. We came from journalism backgrounds, writing backgrounds. But then in the last year, we kind of decided that we needed to take a step back from the written work. You know, that's still important. And, you know, it's always going to have like a place in my heart, the website, because that was like my first baby within the brand, I would say. But we found it didn't matter how much traffic we got on site. It didn't matter how much recognition we were getting by getting, you know, amazing link backs or citations in different mainstream publications. It didn't actually impact our audience growth and our revenue. So audience growth meaning people that were coming to us specifically, as opposed to just like Googling someone's name and being like, what's going on between these two YouTubers, reading the article and clicking out. We knew we needed to prioritize different channels that fostered that kind of like community feel and grew that like culty audience, as opposed to just like getting traffic. And brands honestly just did not care about working with us on site. So that's why I started the daily podcast this year, because we knew that taking the news that we were publishing on our website and bringing it to a podcast format every single day instead, that was going to pay off. And it definitely has. Okay. Let's get into the stories for today. The last Monday of mini scrolling. I'm going to say that every single fucking day. Not ever. I'm going to say that every day this week. The last Monday of mini scroll of 2024, the last Tuesday. But honestly, like this is the first year of mini scroll. This is my first year of doing a daily podcast. I can't believe I've done a daily podcast basically the whole year. So I'm just kind of like basking in this accomplishment. Okay. So the first story that I have for you guys is I'm going to break down the Matilda Djerf and Djerf Avenue allegations that have been going viral everywhere all weekend. Late last week, which was the weekend here in Australia for us, the Swedish publication Aftonbladet published essentially like a documentary featuring several former employees of Matilda Djerf's fashion brand, Djerf Avenue, in which they claimed that Matilda fostered a toxic work environment through bullying and a lack of respect for her team. So amongst the allegations, one employee called Matilda's behavior to her staff, quote, psychological terror. Another said, quote, there are times when she has lined up the employees and yelled at them and said how bad they are at their job. One of the biggest allegations to come out of this is that Matilda had her own private bathroom that she and a few select favorite employees were allowed to use. There was a sign on it, basically on the door, that said, don't use this. One day, apparently, this sign fell. Someone used it, and Matilda made that person, like that employee, scrub that toilet allegedly as a punishment for them using her toilet. There's also allegations that Matilda fat-shamed a model during a photo shoot and also staff. Quote, to one person, she said her butt didn't fill out the jeans, and to another, she said that her butt filled up the jeans too much. I've seen a lot of people, this happens every time there's any type of allegations like this against somebody who is like previously beloved. People are like, I always knew, I always got such a bad feeling about, and it's like, did you? That's not really relevant to like what is currently unfolding, you know? But I think when it does come to this situation, what I will say is I've seen a lot of people talk about how this kind of environment is very common amongst especially smaller fashion brands with a founder at the helm. I think fashion, beauty, even media, you know, are like really PR are really sought after industries. sought after industries that young women especially want to work in. They're very glamorized. And so you can kind of get these companies, these smaller companies, these like boutique, type of brands that are run like this, because I think sometimes that goes to the founder's head. It's kind of like The Devil Wears Prada, where she's like, 1,000,000 girls would kill to be in your shoes. Like 1,000,000 girls would kill to work here. And so I think that attitude is very common in those industries, especially when there is like one central person who is driving the ship, and in their mind probably like the reason why all of these employees have their salaries and can pay their rent and their mortgages and like have this lifestyle. And also I'm sure some of those employees are starting to build their own like platforms off the back of working for Matilda and stuff. So I imagine there is just like a lot of inflated egos with some founders who are at the helm of these brands, who really feel like, you wouldn't be here without me. This is my brand. This is my face. This, like, I'm the reason for all of this, I imagine. And then just from like an influencer perspective, I mean, we see this a lot. Like Matilda did have a reputation of being really nice, of having kind of inclusive values. She went semi-viral maybe a couple years ago, I forget when it was, where she was talking about how she gets invited to Fashion Week all the time, but she never goes because until they're more inclusive, she's not going to, sit front row and kind of put her stamp of approval on that. So she kind of built this reputation around herself. And when you do build a reputation for yourself of being this like amazing influence, this really like ethical influencer in theory, then, you have farther to fall. Okay, so Matilda has responded. So she made a statement to the publication, and she also commented, I believe, on their Instagram post. I think it was theirs. She wrote, "I don't recognize myself in the claims that have been made, and I've chosen not to comment on individual cases. However, I do believe it's valuable that these concerns are being raised, as it gives both me and Djerf Avenue the opportunity to grow and improve. I want to emphasize that I take full responsibility and see this as a chance to reflect, grow, and contribute to a better culture for everyone at Djerf Avenue." And then Djerf Avenue's chief operating officer said the company acknowledged the challenges in its workplace environment and had taken steps to address them. And then she actually wrote out a whole list of the steps that they're doing. Some of these steps include implementing an independent whistleblower function, strengthening the management team, and carrying out an independent workplace assessment with an external psychologist. So I will say that anytime there's been kind of mass criticism around Djerf Avenue or Matilda, she never shies away from addressing it. The company always makes a statement. They don't just ignore, and they do it quick. They do it within the same day. Same thing happened when she was getting all that backlash this, or maybe it was this time last year or earlier this year when she was copyright striking, allegedly. I think it was was it? Oh my God, what was she doing? Yes, that was it. She was copyright striking, allegedly, creators, small creators who were sharing dupes, I think, of Djerf Avenue clothes. Anyways, so, they made a statement right away. They were I emailed them. Yes, it was because we were still really writing on site. So it would have been around this time last year. I emailed them for a statement and they got back to me right away. So they are very good at managing the PR around the brand and the PR around Matilda. And I do appreciate that she didn't just deny everything. There was absolutely an element of acknowledgement there. Okay, so now many former fans are calling on influencer Philippa Moulier to speak out. So for anyone that doesn't know, Philippa is an influencer who briefly worked for Djerf Avenue as a social media coordinator from January 2022, to October 2022. And I guess before she worked there, Matilda and her were in each other's comments all the time, always interacting. And then it just she left the company abruptly. Nobody has any idea why. There was very little said about it. And then they basically don't seem to interact. So everyone's what does she know? We need to know what's going on here. She probably has something to say. So she actually made a statement, a very small one, but she made a statement. So a TikTok creator was posting about this and about Philippa and Matilda and this whole workplace thing that came out. And she commented on that video. She wrote, "Meep, this whole situation is so hard for me to talk about honestly. And I just think I need some more time to reflect before addressing it." So it does sound like Philippa has some not so nice things to say about working at Djerf Avenue. I don't know if she'll ever actually come out and say it, but it sounds like she might be open to it. Okay, the next story that I have for you guys is I wanted to talk really quickly about this songs I'd play if trend. So I don't know if this is taking over your For You page like it is everyone on my team's For You page, but there's this new TikTok trend sweeping the app where basically people are taking a photo of like a niche business or like a niche place and writing, quote, songs I'd play if I owned a XYZ company, or songs I'd play if I was in XYZ place, featuring a sound that has very pointed lyrics. And it's supposed to be funny. I'm going to say a lot of them are a little bit like edgy and kind of savage.
These BBLs killing y'all.
But this could be done really well if you're a business. So for example, you could put up like a picture of, let's say, Goodwill with the text, songs I'd play if I owned a Goodwill, or songs I'd play if I worked at Goodwill or whatever. And the song playing could be Thrift Shop by Macklemore. Or if you owned an alcohol brand, worked for an alcohol brand, you could put like songs I'd play if I owned a liquor brand or worked at a liquor brand. And the song could be Shots, Shots, Shots by LMFAO, stuff like that. So it's really quick, but like I said, some of them are a little bit savage, but if you just are careful with what you post, I think this could be really funny. Okay, and the last story that I have for you guys, I was tossing up between this one and the Selena Gomez one where that actor called her out, didn't call her out, but like criticized her Spanish accent in the new movie, Emilia Perez, I think it's called. And then Selena commented about it and then he apologized. That's honestly just actually the gist of the story. But anyways, I decided to go with this one instead. I guess I gave you guys the rundown of that one too. Okay, so this story I have for you guys, the last story, is Sophia Culpo has shaded Alex Earle and Braxton Berrios. So Sophia Culpo has called out Braxton Berrios once again for how he treated her in their relationship. Brianna Chicken Fry, somehow involved in this story, always, can't do an episode without talking about her, I swear, was on Alex Earle's podcast talking about her abusive relationship with Zach Bryan. This podcast was picked up by a lot of pop culture TikTok accounts, including one where the creator named Stephanie said in her recap video that Zach Bryan is to Brianna as Braxton Berrios is to Sophia Culpo. Are you sticking with me? So like a TikTok creator made that comparison, okay? So in case you missed it, Sophia is the influencer who dated Braxton for 2 years before Alex. They lived together in New Jersey, apparently. And there were also questions when they broke up around if there was overlap between Alex and Sophia. There's lots of rumors that Braxton cheated on Sophia with Alex. And even though Alex has kind of like denied those rumors, Sophia has always kind of maintained this, I wouldn't say she's like necessarily come out and like said it, but she's always heavily implied it in a lot of the content that she's created around this relationship, like around her past relationship. And she was actually on a podcast, I think it was earlier this year, and she was talking about how like Braxton was a really controlling boyfriend. So I think that's why Stephanie, the TikTok creator, made that comparison, because she was basically saying like from what Sophia has told us about her relationship with Braxton, it sounds like there were similarities between how Braxton treated Sophia and how Brianna says Zach treated her. Okay, so Sophia saw this TikTok from Stephanie comparing the two, and she stitched it. In the stitch, Sophia looked at the camera and took like a big sip of wine.
If you guys remember, Braxton was technically Sophia Culpo's Zach Bryan.
This is obviously a hark back to the response that Zach Bryan's ex, Deb, gave when Brianna came out about Zach's abusive relationship. Brianna came out about his abuse. The first thing that Deb posted after that was like basically a copy and paste of this video from Sophia. And I actually chose this story because it felt lighter, even though it's actually like not light subject matter. But in terms of like the commentary, I'm going to say it seems like Braxton really fucked Sophia up, like really the way that he treated her, the way that their relationship ended. She's obviously still very hurt by it, understandably so. But I wanted to choose this story instead of the Selena Gomez story because I kind of felt like with the Selena Gomez story, I needed to dissect more of the conversation around the criticism of art and like who's allowed to criticize and industry peers giving each other feedback and criticizing each other. And if that is still valid in every single industry when you are so famous and you're sitting on a giant platform giving criticism about a peer versus, other industries where you might give each other like peer-to-peer feedback, peer-to-peer criticism, but it's not amplified to the degree that someone who is a peer of Selena Gomez, like he's sitting on a giant podcast saying that. So anyways, that just felt like a much bigger conversation where I would really need to have a lot of time and space to dissect how I felt about all of that because I know it's a bigger conversation. So that's why I wanted to do this story, but I guess I've kind of done both now. Anyways, that's it for Mini Scroll today, guys. I'm really excited because right after this, I'm recording the final deep dive of the year and I'm recording it with my team. I'm recording it with Alex and Annabelle. Sadly, Danny is away. As you guys know, I've been on the editing grind. She is on a trip, so I've been editing the podcast while she's away. But yes, so Alex and Annabelle are going to do the podcast with me, and you guys have been asking to meet them, to get to know them a little bit better. So I'm excited because they're going to join me. We're going to do 2025 pop culture predictions. All right, guys, that's it for Mini Scroll today. I love you guys. Please rate, review, and subscribe. Please star rate us on Spotify. We're trying to get to 500 by the end of the year, 2 weeks away. I love you guys, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.